Please hang tight. We will get started here momentarily. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the ACA Small Business Bootcamp for this Tuesday, November 9th. We're excited to have everybody with us. I'm Robert Theobald, the Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services here at the Arizona Commerce Authority. And we're excited about today's session. Today's session is also part of the Global Entrepreneur Week for the Arizona activities, and we're glad to be part of that program. So we've got a great session today. For those that are new to the boot camp, I want to first start by thanking all of our community partners. We could not do these boot camp sessions without our community partners, their time, their effort, and their expertise. We have over 120 community partners that have helped with the boot camps, and they've all been awesome. So the Small Business Boot Camp is designed to help small businesses return from the COVID crisis stronger than ever. It is a statewide initiative supported by all of our community partners. And not only is it a Tuesday and Thursday boot camp webinar every week, it is also a resource collective and a content library. And let's dive a little bit deeper into those two pieces. So the resource collective is a website that we set up, and you can link to it from our Small Business Bootcamp main page. And it's full of additional tools and guides brought by our state network of community partners to help with business guidance, marketing, business essentials, and other things that a small business owner may face. And these are available to everyone at no cost. They're just on the website, available for you to review and to download. Additionally, we have our small business content library, and we record all of our webinars. And so today is our 201st webinar since the beginning of April of 2020. And with that, aside from a few licensing related issues that we couldn't record, we recorded nearly every bootcamp session. So we have over 180 recorded webinars and presentations, along with their corresponding resources available for small business owners or anyone to go back and review and watch and get the help that they need from those sessions. We cover just about every different topic a small business owner may face, and you can find those at the bottom of the Small Business Bootcamp website under the archive section. Now, if there's a specific topic you're looking for and you can't find it, feel free to reach out to us and we can guide you to the proper week and session to help you get the learning that you're looking for from those recorded sessions. A couple other websites that have great information for small businesses and for everyone. The state put together a general COVID information and resource page at arizonatogether.org. And then the Arizona Commerce Authority set up a COVID-19 business resources website at azcommerce.com/COVID-19. And that page has business guidance, financial resources, and other great items to help any size business in Arizona. Additionally, the ACA has a number of programs to help support small business owners. We have our Small Business Services, our Workforce Division, and our Arizona MEP, our Manufacturing Extension Partnership. These three programs are excellent at helping small businesses fit their needs in their different categories. Also, for all those that are joining us today because of the session that we have today, if you're looking to start your business, we have our ACA Small Business Checklist. And this is an online interactive resource that helps entrepreneurs identify the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal levels. You can also find additional business planning, development, and marketing information on there. It is a great resource that I highly encourage everybody looking to start a business or even expand and grow your business to take a look at and walk through all the information that we have on the checklist. Now, jumping into some small business updates. We're going to post links to these 4 different topics in the chat, but we like to touch on them because they're very important. First, is there going to be a link to help small businesses understand how they can take advantage of Small Business Saturday. Everybody's heard of Black Friday, which is a huge shopping day for lots of retailers and especially big box stores. And then there's Cyber Monday, but nestled in between there on that Saturday is Small Business Saturday. And this article shares how you can get on some of the resources and take advantage of that Small Business Saturday and the marketing that goes around it. Also, the Arizona governor announced a new grant, and we are having a bootcamp special session on that tomorrow. But these grants also involve technical assistance and a very low interest rate loan. They're being handled by both Local First Arizona and Prestamo CDFI. So we'll post some information on that. That also includes the Maricopa County Small Business Resilience Program. And then there's the Employee Retention Credit. We just like to remind people about that, as it's an opportunity for some significant funding that your business may qualify for. So with that, we want to look at some of our upcoming sessions. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, we have a special session. We normally don't do them on Wednesdays, but tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we have a special session hosted by Local First about the Maricopa County Small Business Grant Program. Local First is running that grant program in partnership with the Arizona Community Foundation, and they will be on to talk about how that works and how you can apply for it. Also, Thursday is Veterans Day, and so in honor of Veterans Day, we are not having a boot camp session. We want to thank all of our veterans who have served us. We appreciate your service. Then next week, we have 2 great sessions, Return Stronger in 2022. This is kind of a look ahead to start planning for your upcoming year. And then we have a great one on Thursday with our returning presenter, Karen Russo, on money decisions for a Return Stronger holiday season. So as you look at the holiday, this is a great prep for that. So with that, we're going to jump into a quick poll. As we look at 2022 for our small business bootcamp sessions, we're looking at, we want to know what day and time would be best for you to attend. So Lisa's going to throw a poll up on the screen. You can click on it and select which day and time would be best for you for a weekly small business bootcamp session. All right, we got a little bit longer. We've got, if you haven't voted yet, please share your information so we know your feedback is very important to us. We want to make these boot camps as best as possible for all the attendees. So we quite enjoy your feedback. So we'll leave it up for about another 10 seconds and then we'll wrap it up. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap up the poll. Looks like most people on there suggested Tuesday at 9 a.m., which is today's session. So thanks for being here today. And the feedback is very important. So thank you very much. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into today's speaker. Today we have Steve Engelhardt. He's a SCORE mentor, and he's also the SCORE Phoenix chapter chair. So we're excited to have him with us. A very experienced business professional, and we've got a great session today. SCORE is a no-cost program for small businesses with mentoring, and they do lots of training classes and help people get started and grow their business. And we are excited to partner with them. They are an SBA program federally, and our Phoenix team is awesome, so we're excited to have them with us. The SCORE team across Arizona is excellent, so want to put that plug in there. And Steve, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn the time over to you.
Okay, let me start sharing and we'll get going. So this is the ABCs of startup. So I've got to get done by 10. So I'm going to move fairly fast. That's not enough time for me to tell you how to get started up. This is meant to get you to think a bit, give you some introduction to starting up. If you do start up, the best thing you can do is get a hold of a score mentor right from the start and work with them. There's no charge to work with a score mentor, and we'll talk you through it step by step. In Phoenix is a particularly good chapter. We're a platinum award-winning chapter. There's only 20 in the US out of 300. We're also district chapter of the year. So we're a pretty good bunch to work with. All the mentoring is free. We never charge for it. We just had somebody retire after 27 years and he had 27-year clients. We want to be with you and stick with you. Celebrate your successes with you. It's one-on-one mentoring. Up until the pandemic, we did it at 22 live locations. Now I do it mainly by Zoom, but we're slowly going back to live. We'll also do it by email, but I think in the future, our primary mentoring path is going to be Zoom. Everybody that's a mentor in SCORE has either been an entrepreneur and owned a small business for a considerable amount of time, or they've been to at least a director level of a corporation. So you'll be working with people that have a lot of experience. SCORE also does workshops like this one. We average 4 a week here in Phoenix. Tucson does a couple and Prescott does one. And we're going to start offering all of those district-wide. For most of them, there's no charge. There's a couple of them we do charge for. Like we've got an upcoming one for QuickBooks. It's $45 and it's 2 sessions. But it's a primer to get you started on QuickBooks. And we have all kinds of small business resources. So let's talk about why you may want to start a small business. You want more freedom. Well, that can be a two-edged sword. It's your business and it's 24/7. So yeah, if you want to take off in the middle of the afternoon, go to your kid's ball game that you can't do because you have a job now, yeah, you can do that. But who's running your business while you're gone? So this freedom thing can be a two-edged sword. Will your hours be less? The answer is a resounding no. I have had people say, I want to start my own business because I want to work fewer hours. That will not be the case if you want to be successful. Like I said a minute ago, it's a 24/7 job. Now, if you work, you can leave your work and leave it at work. If you own your own business, it comes home with you. It goes on vacation with you. Everywhere you go, it's with you. Can you just do anything you want? There again, that's two-edged. You're the boss. Yes, you can. But maybe making that decision to do something can also be really bad. And that's what management is all about. It's about decision making. Can you use money to pay for personal expenses? Yeah, I'll use company money to pay my mortgage, pay for my car. IRS watches this. So, for example, if you have a barber shop, is IRS going to allow you to have a BMW company car? No. This is kind of a fallacy that you can use business money to pay all your personal expenses. I just can't work for someone else. This one you got to think about. I've had quite a few people come to me and say, I'm just not an employee. I'm a bad employee. There's two kinds of bad employees. One is you don't like working for somebody else because you want to make the decisions. You want to set the direction. And you're actually a great employee because you take initiative, you get stuff done. People can count on you and you're loyal. But you just don't want to work for somebody else. If you're that kind of bad employee, that's fine. If you're the kind of bad employee that you keep getting fired because you come in late, you make mistakes, you blow up customers. If you're a bad employee for those reasons, you're going to fail. If you can't get up and go to work in the morning for an employer, you're not going to do it for yourself because you're going to find excuses not to. And you will fail. So if depending on what kind of bad employee you are, be honest with yourself, please. In this presentation, I do throw a little bit of cold water at you because I want you to think about this because this is serious stuff. I keep getting laid off. I need something steady. I can't be fired. Can't be fired. Think about during the pandemic, all the restaurant and bar owners had to close down. They kind of got fired, didn't they? You've got to build a business with a good, solid base. And hopefully you build something that can get you through bad times as well as good. You can't get a job. A lot of people start businesses because of this. But why can't you get a job? Was it the bad employee thing? Or are you just not qualified? One great reason to start a business is filling a need. You saw a need, you're filling it. That's why you should start a business. You have a product and you know who the audience is, and you know they'll fit and the audience wants that product. And the last motivation to start a business is you want to build this for your kids. Frankly, what makes you think your kids want it? Most kids do not want a legacy business. They just don't. So if it turns out that someday they do, that's fine. But don't use that saying, I want to build this for my kids. So are you a business person? Are you the greatest hairdresser of all time? You're a real artist, but totally incapable of running a business. There's a difference between being a great technician, a great plumber, a great hairdresser, a great electrician. Whatever you do, you still have to, at some point, run your business. There's a saying, working in your business and working on your business. Working in your business is when you're being a technician. Working on your business is when you just stop doing that and you just start worrying about marketing, paying the bills, collecting your invoices, those kind of things. Do you want to stop doing what you love to take on business chores you hate? I always stayed corporate. And I retired when people started asking me to take over the CEO chair. I didn't want to be a CEO. I knew for a fact that I was the best sales manager on planet Earth. I could really crank out sales, and I loved every day of it. But I knew the minute I got in the CEO chair, my sales days were over, and I'd have to worry about the company health insurance plan. I don't care about that. I'd have to worry about the roof in Omaha and the new branch in New Orleans. I don't care about those things. I cared about and loved sales. So if you leave a job that you love, remember you're going to a business and you may have a whole lot of things to do that you don't like. You may not like calling people up to collect their bills, but you're going to have to. You may not like having to fire people. You're going to have to. Are you willing to risk your home and personal assets on business success? You will not get a loan or financing anywhere without putting up your personal assets. So if you're willing to have your house at risk on this business, is your spouse? Do you have enough operating capital to run a business? If you think you need $100,000 to unlock the door, I'll tell you right now, you're wrong. It's going to take 150 to 200. What will you do about retirement savings and health insurance? Health can ruin your financial life for decades. What are you going to do about it? Are you willing to give up that health insurance? If you are the business, if you're a shoe repairman or a barber, the business is you. If you're not there, the business doesn't make any money. So you always have to be at work. You can't take that day off. You can't take an afternoon off. You are the business. When people come to your door to get their shoes repaired or a haircut, because they took off work to come get a haircut, and you're locked up because you went to your kid's athletic event, that's not good. They won't come back. They'll go find somebody else. Come on, slide advance. So it's more than just running a storefront and opening. In addition to being having your storefront and opening, you may need professional licenses. If you're a realtor, you got to have a license. If you're a salon owner, you got to have your cosmetic licenses. In addition to that, you're going to need a corporate structure. Corporate structure means like an LLC. I forbid you to go into business in Arizona and not be an LLC. In today's sue happy world, you can't afford to risk your entire financial world on a major lawsuit when an LLC can protect that. And in Arizona, it only costs $85 and you can do it yourself. Don't use a lawyer, don't use a CPA, don't use LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer. You don't need them. Arizona, it's extremely easy. Any score-meter can talk you through it, and you can do it in half an hour. Easy. You're going to need an EIN. That's an employer identification number, also called a TIN. It comes from the IRS, and it's free. If somebody asks you to pay for it, you got on a service and not the IRS. Go to the IRS, it's free. You'll need a business bank account. It has to be business only. You cannot mix personal and business funds in a business bank account. You'll need an operating agreement and articles of incorporation. You may need business licenses depending on the city. If you're selling a product, you'll need a sales tax license, a TPT, transaction privilege tax license, that's sales tax license. You may need zoning approval. You absolutely going to need a business plan. Don't you even think about getting into business without making a written business plan. There's a lot of reasons for it. I'll get into that in a minute. Trademark and branding plan. The good news about a trademark and brand and a name is those things can come to have value just on their own. Think what the Coca-Cola trademark, just the trademark is worth millions. You're going to need a website and a domain. And I mentioned operating capital. You'll need plenty. So are you an entrepreneur? Are you a self-starter? Do you get up in the morning, get out of bed, get going? Or does somebody have to get you going? Projects. Do you put projects off? Are you self-starter? Do you dive into them and get them done? Are you organized? You don't want to pick up the same piece of paper 10 times because you're disorganized. And fits with the second one, decisive. Pick up that piece of paper once, deal with it, you're done with it. Pick up the next one, deal with it, you're done with it. Don't pick it up and put it down for later. Pick it up, put it down for later. Be persistent and stay with it. Jeff Bezos, who started Amazon, nobody had financing. He went to 46 banks. They all told him no. Number 47 told him yes. What if he would have quit after 46? What if he would have quit after 30? Never would have had Amazon. You've got to have family support. I just mentioned that. If you're willing to put your house up and can sleep at night, will your spouse sleep at night when your house is at risk because of the business? Will your kids understand why you're not at their ball game? So success factors, cash. Cash is king. Without cash, no business. You got to have a viable plan. You don't have to manage your time. You got to know what's the most important thing to be doing with my time right now. That's a sign you should have on your desk all the time. What's the most important use of my time right now? Be willing to ask. Ask people who are in the same business. Ask friends, ask relatives, ask other business people. Talk, talk, talk. Please have the experience and education for what you're going into. There are so many people that start restaurants. I used to live in Boulder, Colorado. One ethnic restaurant after another would open there. And it was usually people coming in from the Peace Corps. And they said, oh, I was in Ethiopia, and I think there's a market for Ethiopian food in Boulder. These are people that have never run a restaurant. That's one of the most difficult businesses of all to open and run. Too many amateurs get into it and die. Have the experience and education in what you're doing. Communication goes with the willingness to ask. Communicate, communicate. Communicate with your employees, communicate with your vendors, communicate with everybody. And you've got to have a work ethic. If you don't have a strong work ethic, don't do it. You will fail. Here's the reality of it. After 2 years, 25% of all businesses that start will be gone. 1 out of 4. This statistic has not changed in 40 years. Neither has this one. After 5 years, half of you will be out of business. Failed. That's not businesses that sold. It's failed. This statistic has not changed for 40 years. So here are some options. You can start a business from scratch. You can buy a business. You can buy a franchise. So starting your own business, the advantages are you're not held back by the old. Nobody says this is how we did it yesterday. Nobody says this is how we display stuff. These are the products we sell or buy. You're not held back by anything. Start from scratch. You get to choose your name and location. All those things have value. You can wind up selling those things. You can explore new markets and directions. You can see dreams come true. The bad thing is the day you open, there's no base. You have no customers. You have to wait for number one to walk in the door. Greater risk, huge risk. You don't know if this thing's going to work or not. Nobody does. You have no track record and you will not get financed. Banks will not finance startups. There are very few exceptions to that statement. If you just graduate from dental school, yes, a bank will finance you because they know how much money a dentist can make. But a bank will not lend on your forecasts. They want to lend on your ability to pay back, and they can't see that from your forecasts. Banks will not finance you to start with. And there are no grants that are going to start you. Nobody's out there with a $100,000 grant to start you into business. There's no such thing as a women's and minority veterans grant that's going to start you in a business. Nobody's going to buy you a food truck. You've got to have your own financing lined up. And it won't be with a bank. It'll have to be private. Your dream can become a nightmare. Buying a business. Think about this. In Phoenix, over 50% of the business owners are over 55 years old. What do you think they're thinking? They're thinking, it's time to sell. I want out of here. This is a great way to get into business. You have established clientele. The day you unlock the door, yesterday's customers are walking in today. Established clientele. You're a known quantity. People know what they were getting when they were doing business with that business. They're coming back in. The outgoing owner can help you run the business for a while. The biggie is when you buy a business, you buy the records of the business, which means you can get financed. You go to a bank and say, here's what the business has been making. Look, see here, here's how I can repay this loan. You get to buy the records. You can get financed. It's much easier. Hidden issues. There can be debt and transfer issues. You got to make sure you're not assuming the debts. Same way with taxes. Reputation. Reputation, if it's a bad reputation, you got to overcome that. And sometimes the reputation does start to slide off as a business owner starts to sell because he quits caring. You may have loyalty to owner issues. People have been doing business there for a long time because they like that owner. But once that owner's gone, that loyalty's gone. They may not be back. And inventory. If you buy an inventory, you better go put your hands on every bit of it and count it and make sure it's there. And number two, think of this with the pandemic. The pandemic started just as people were getting their spring and summer fashions in. So if you bought a clothing business now, the inventory that you're buying might be 1 or 2 year old fashions. They won't sell. Why are you buying that inventory? And still, there's no guarantee of success. This does take due diligence. You need a lawyer and a CPA involved and a score mentor. So franchise a business. This is the safest and best way to get into business. It's a proven product or service. They have huge marketing power. So you can have your little store and the little bit of marketing you can do, or you can be a McDonald's owner, send McDonald's 1 or 2% of your revenue every month and get national advertising. They have training and guidance. It's a continuing relationship. They collect a royalty on your sales. So they are all in about helping you in the future, and they continue the relationship because they want the royalty to grow. You get access to others for help. One of the big things is being able to access other franchise owners of the same franchise. Much easier franchising, much easier, because banks can look at the records of other franchises. Easy to get them financed, but you have to do it their way. That's what makes them a franchise. People are buying their way. You have to do it their way. You have to pay a franchise royalty. Sometimes they collect these daily. So if you're paying 7% of your gross revenue, and every day you make your bank deposit, when you wake up in the morning, you'll see 7% has been transferred out. That's your royalty. And you may have some other costs like advertising pool costs. You may have operational boundaries. A Raymond James office has an operational boundary of 1 mile. However, a Subway or a UPS store, they'll drop one in right on top of yours. So operational boundaries can be good and they can be bad. I have a client that has a swimming lessons franchise, but he can only run his franchise in 5 Arizona zip codes. A binding contract. Yeah, you can't just start this thing and walk away from it. And franchisor problems can become your problems. So Jared made Subway and Jared broke Subway. So franchise disclosure document. If you look at a franchise, the franchisor will give you this. It's called an FDD, franchise disclosure document. They're typically 1 inch or more thick. They tell you all about that franchise and all about your relationship with that franchise. One of the best things in it, there's a list of everybody that used to be a franchisee in there, and you can call them up and ask them why they left. Entrepreneur Magazine rates franchises. That's a good place. There are other reviews. Multi-level marketing is not a franchise. And a new one that has started up, online business. The advantages are lower startup costs. All you need is a laptop and go sit on your bed and go to work. Greater geographic reach. You can reach the entire world, right? It's convenient. It's accessible. Very flexible. You can be selling jewelry today, pottery tomorrow, and the day after that, computers. Great, huge flexibility. Lower startup costs is a disadvantage because everybody can get into it. There's more competition because everybody can get into it. You just got a laptop in a bedroom sitting on their bed, can be in competition with you. Low conversion rates. You may get 200,000 hits in one sale. No personal contact. Many people buy from the salesperson. They buy from the owner. They buy because of who they're talking to, who they're working with. You don't have that when you're online. And the customer gets limited information. They can't taste, touch, feel it. Right now, I'm looking to get an iPhone 13. I don't know if I want just a 13 or a 13 mini. I can't get enough information online to decide. I'm going to have to go to a store and put in my hand to decide which one I want. But then I'm going to leave that store and I'm going to order it online. So that's one of the problems with online. You can't taste, touch, and feel things. Unknown impact of the SCOTUS sales tax ruling. SCOTUS, of course, is Supreme Court of the United States, who passed a law, South Dakota law that's gone national now, that you have to collect sales tax on online purchases in every state. It used to be you had to collect it just in Arizona. Now you have to collect it in every state. There is a floor and some exceptions to that. This is really difficult. If you're in this situation, you really want to take down my information at the end and call me and talk to me about it. I'm really familiar with this. So your steps are select and register for a domain name. Get the domain name before you register for a corporate shield. People look at the corporate shield filings, then they go see if the domain name is taken. If it's not, they take it, then they raise the price on it. So you have to pay more. Select and register for a corporate shield. That means set up your LLC, upload an operating agreement, establish an employer identification number, open a business bank account, and possibly register for a TPT, sales tax. So let's talk about sales tax, TPT, transaction privilege tax. You may still or may not still require a city business license, depends on the city. It also acts as a wholesale number. So when you want to buy something wholesale, you can say to the seller, number one, here's my EIN to prove I'm a business, but also have a wholesale number that proves I'm in business. It'd be nice if you gave me a discount, but don't charge me sales tax because I'm going to resell this and I'll charge sales tax on the end. So it acts as a wholesale number so you can avoid sales tax at the very minimum. It's also the number you need to report unemployment taxes to the state. If you have an employee, you need a TPT. So if you're selling in Arizona a product and some services, you do need to have a sales tax license. Think about this. A service like getting my hair fixed is untaxed. If you sell me the shampoo, that's taxed. If I go to a movie, that's taxed, but I can't bring it home with me. I don't know why. If I go to Cardinals game, that's taxed. I can't bring it home with me. I don't know why. So there are some things that I consider a service, like a movie and a game, that are taxed. But all products are taxed. Do you need a sales tax license? Barber, probably not, because they typically don't sell any kind of product. Cosmetologists probably do, because they very frequently sell product. Heating and air conditioning, absolutely, you're going to need a sales tax license, because you don't, on your service, your heating air conditioning service, no sales tax. But you rarely do a service that you don't have parts. So in your invoice, it needs to say labor, $100, parts, $15, tax on the parts. Restaurant, absolutely yes, that's a product. Know the rules for your business. Do you need a business license? Check with your local business, with your local city. Do you need professional license, and does your license need a sponsor? So a register of contractor doesn't need a sponsor, but you do need a license if you're doing contracting. If you're a realtor, you have to have a sponsor, right? Because your license isn't valid unless a broker holds it. Business structure, I told you. Sole proprietorship, I forbid you. Do not. Not in Arizona. In New York, it costs $4,000 and you need an attorney to get an LLC. California, $2,500. Need an attorney to get an LLC. Arizona, $85, you can do it yourself. Why would you take this risk? It's taxed like there's no liability protection. It's the same taxes as personal tax. It's more difficult to have multiple owners. And banks almost certainly will never, ever finance a sole proprietorship. LLC or professional LLC. A PLLC is like if you're an attorney or a CPA, but usually just regular LLC. It's personal liability protection for personal property. An LLC does not pay taxes or even file a tax return. All the income falls through to you as the owner, and you pay it on your personal taxes. It's just like a sole proprietorship. There's no tax difference between an LLC and a sole proprietorship. LLC won't cost you anything, not a nickel. All income is taxed to the owner. Members can be held personally responsible for LLC debt, same thing as a sole proprietorship, no difference. So you get the LLC protection. You'll hear people talk about S corps. An S corp changes taxation a little bit. It does not pay taxes either, but it has to file a tax return. Attorneys don't like S corps. CPAs like S corps. One reason they like them is because with an S corp, it doesn't pay taxes, but it has to file a tax return. So the CPA winds up filing two tax returns, your personal and the corporation. That's why they like them. It used to save you some payroll taxes. Those taxes right now have changed hugely to where it doesn't save as much. And if you're fairly young, one of those taxes you will be avoiding with an S corp is FICA, which is Social Security. Do you want to draw Social Security when you retire? If you do, then why do you want to quit paying into it? You got to really think about this if you're going to go into an S corp. Many people have been led down the road by a CPA and they shouldn't have. And you don't have to be an S corp if you want S corp taxation. All you have to do is file an IRS form 2533. Sorry, I got the numbers mixed up. But you can just file a form with IRS. They want to be taxed as an S corp. You can be. Usually it takes help to form, and because it allows you to sell 200 shares of stock, you become subject to SEC laws, Security and Exchange Commission. The big national SEC doesn't care about your little S corp, but the Arizona SEC does, and they got nothing better to do than make your life miserable. A C corp, 99.999% of you just forget it. This is a big corporation, big stock, huge paperwork, takes lawyers to form, huge annual paperwork every year and fees. A C corp is just like a person. It can be convicted of a felony. All the owners of the stock are the stockholders. It protects owners from liability. Any debt that's the company runs up is company debt. It doesn't go to personal. It allows stock sale to raise money. It gets taxed twice. The corporation pays taxes and the stockholders pay taxes. Double taxed. It's much more strictly regulated. Requires professional help to form. And here's where you really have to watch it with the SEC. You've really got to watch your mouth and what you write. Elon Musk said, I have the funds to take Tesla private. Remember that? He was lying. The SEC came after him. Within 72 hours, Elon Musk agreed to a $40 million fine, 20 million from Tesla and 20 million personal. You never see that, do you? You always see somebody dragging it out for years in courts. The reason he settled within 72 hours for that huge fine is because what he did was a felony. If you say, I've got the money to take this company private and you're lying, that's a felony. What you say and what you write can be a felony when it involves the SEC. So really watch it. But most of you are not going, I'm not spending more time on C Corp because hardly ever going to go there. For a nonprofit, that's a whole different thing. Talk to us separately on that. So running your business, you want to keep track of every red cent, every nickel. You can do your own accounting to start with. It's easy. Payroll, if you have payroll, don't do it yourself. Just use a service. Robert mentioned the employee tax credit thing. They can do that for you. It's paperwork. And when you can, lean to 1099 contractors as opposed to employees, but make sure they qualify as contractors and don't qualify as an employee. IRS will really get you. Run your business with honor and pride. So what's more important than a customer? What's more important than a customer is a returning customer. If you don't run your business with honor, you will not get those returning customers. When somebody comes in and says, when I bought this garment, I didn't notice there was a spot on it. Do you argue with them about it or say, oh, gee, I'm so sorry, let's go get another one? People have long memories. Get regular financial reports and read them. If you don't know how to do this, give the score meter, we'll teach you how. Know your industry. If you're a restaurant, you know in your industry, your cost of goods has to be 33% or lower. Your labor has to be 35% or lower. Those two together are called prime. In a restaurant operation, your prime should be below 60%. If it's running above that, you're in danger of not being in business too much longer. Watch your trade. Go to trade shows, get trade magazines, go to trade organization things, and pay your taxes. Don't fool with the government. So lenders' view of borrowers. They want to see how much capital you have, what's your cash flow, what's your character, collateral, what's your commitment to the business. Are you just a part-time owner? Are you just there part of the time and the rest of the time you're playing? What's your competition? What are business conditions right now? What's your credit rating? Credit rating counts. So sources of funds, personal funds, family and friends, partners contribute. Don't finance your business on credit cards. I can tell you horror stories all day long about this. I see it over and over again, and every time I've never seen it turn out positive. Bank or third-party loans. Third-party loans will be your main source when you start. Private placements, angels, and venture. These people are interested in high returns. They're interested in equity, and they're usually interested in tech. So here's some more tips. So pay attention everywhere you work. Pay attention to what's being done right and wrong. Do you just have a job? Or are you paying attention to how the boss runs the company? Are you paying attention to how your supervisor runs the company? What do they say that's right? What do they say that's wrong? Do you look at every business you go into, from McDonald's to Starbucks to the DMV? At McDonald's and Burger King, you usually see a shift supervisor back there. They're usually kind of trying to run the people. If you go to In-N-Out, have you ever seen a supervisor in an In-N-Out? And the place runs like a Swiss watch. They tend to pay more, and they tend to hire people that have pretty good grades. It's just different. Starbucks, very well run. Think about the DMV. If you sat there and watched that, do you think you could probably improve on that if you were a manager? Yeah, probably so. Talk to business owners. Talk to bankers. If you want to start an Italian restaurant in Gilbert, maybe the one down the street won't talk to you, but I guarantee you the ones across town will. Go talk to them. So talk to SCORE. We've got lots of tools. And one thing about SCORE, we don't have a dog in the hunt. almost everybody you talk to probably has some reason why they give you the answer they give you. We don't. We're just volunteers that are here to help. There's nothing monetary. You can't even buy us a Coke. So we're here just to help you. There are a lot of other community resources besides SCORE, resource part of the SBA. There's also a Women's Business Center. There's a Veterans Business Center. There's a lot of good resources. Arizona First is a good resource. Lots of them. Take business classes and seminars. Like Robert said, this is their 201st class. They got a really big schedule of these things going a couple a week. They're all free. Read. Read every business book you can. So that's my hometown. And I just like to remind myself of some days gone past. So this is my contact information. I'll leave this up. And Lisa or Faith, if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Yeah, excellent, Steve. Thank you. We got a couple minutes. We can answer some questions. There were some in the Q&A that I answered. There's a question in the Q&A I'll bring up. It says, can you please explain due diligence? If you're not familiar with the term due diligence, I'll let Steve explain that real quick.
Due diligence is things like what I said. If you're buying inventory, go put your hands on it. If somebody says, see all those boxes on those shelves? Those are all full of washers and dryers. Go over and make sure they are. If somebody says, we've got 18 trucks. I had somebody just buy 18 FedEx routes. And along with that, they bought 18 trucks. And the guy said, they're all in good working order. And the guy said, well, I'm going to take them one at a time to my mechanic and see. Well, the guy was close to selling his business, so he hadn't done any maintenance on those trucks in over a year. And the mechanic said, all these trucks are starting to breathe their last life. So he did his due diligence. The guy said, here's 18 trucks, they're all running. He had them checked out by a mechanic. So when somebody makes a claim, check it out. And your attorneys and CPAs can certainly help with that. Due diligence is when you look at somebody's financials. And hey, they look pretty good. But you say, oh yeah, can I also have your income taxes for the same period? Because if they're reporting that they've got a $200,000 net income, what did they report on the income taxes? Did they report just 50? How come? So that's due diligence.
Yeah, and Steve, with that, you know, if the question was in line with some franchise stuff, if you're looking to buy a franchise location or a franchise business, your due diligence is extremely important. You definitely will want to get, you know, your accountant involved in digging through that, and your lawyer in the purchase agreement and so forth to make sure, and the franchise agreement. If you're buying a franchise, you're not just buying the business off the person, but there's franchise agreement stuff you have to really dig into as well and do your proper reading and studying of that information in order to know what requirements there are that you might not be aware of. So,
and also the franchisor also has to approve you. So a franchise just can't tell you his franchise. The franchisor has to agree, because the original franchisor may have said, you have to have a net worth of X to own one of these franchises. Maybe you don't have that. You don't have that net worth. The franchisor doesn't want you.
Yeah. So excellent. I don't see any other questions in there. Oh, we had one new one pop in. It says, I am a small online business. Do I need a CPA?
No, you need a tax accountant. CPAs are CPAs because they can do audits. Typically, you don't need anybody that can do an audit. What you need is somebody who can help you with your taxes. There are a lot of very, very good accountants that are very, very good at tax. So a tax accountant is fine. Or you can do your own taxes. If you've been doing your own taxes, you use TurboTax or something, you're comfortable with it, and your business isn't very complicated, you can do them yourself. But the minute you start asking more questions than you can get answered, get a professional.
Excellent. And then Steve, there's one more we have time for, and then we'll have to wrap it up. It says, when hiring, requesting legal advice, how do you hire a full-time lawyer? How does one work with lawyers when starting a business?
It depends on the business. You may not need one at all. But always know what you're going to say before you walk in. Same with CPAs. They and lawyers both charge by the hour. Don't walk in and not know what you're going to talk about. And when you walk in, don't talk about their kids' pictures on the desk or anything else. Go in, do your business, get out. That's the cheapest way. But you should always have a legal partner, an accounting partner, a banking partner, an insurance partner, and your score mentor. Those are your 5 businesses, your 5 partners.
Excellent. So Steve, as we wrap up, I also want to mention on that one is I would highly encourage you as you're starting your business and before you go spend a lot of money on the lawyers, get with SCORE or get with the small business development centers and talk about your business, get some projections together and get a plan, and they can work with you, identify, hey, you'll need a lawyer for this or you won't, and help get some of that guidance to go in the right direction so you're not spending your startup funds unwisely. And then the last thing, we have another question that popped in. Gabriel mentioned it. Gabriel, that's a pretty tight question. I'm going to type an email back to you or a note, so be prepared for that. But so we want to thank everybody for joining us today. We are right at time. And Steve, great job on the presentation. Again, Steve's information is up on the screen. If you need to get a hold of them, please reach out. SCORE is a great organization. And with that, we will go ahead and wrap up. As we close out, again, we'll leave Steve's information on the screen for another minute or so. But thank you all for attending today. We appreciate it for being part of it. And please join us tomorrow if you're in Maricopa County to learn about that Maricopa County grant. So thanks and have a great day.